श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम्। ॐ सुखं नित्यं स्वप्रकाशं व्यापकं नामरूपयोः अधिष्ठानं बुद्ध्यबोध्यं बुद्धेर्दृग्यत्तु निर्मलम् अपारं सर्ववेदान्त वेद्यं प्रत्यक्परं महः तदेवाहं न मत्तोऽन्यत् इति मे निश्चिता मतिः. So we were seeing an important topic here. During the transaction period, can the liberated have the experience of the duality or not? And it seems like from this paragraph, it seems like he will have an experience similar to that of an ignorant. So that is why we had to explain a lot of things. See, like a person who is learning to cycle will have to follow many things. He should have to have his head straight, his body straight, his hands straight, the handlebar straight, and when he pedals, he should not move his hip. All these kind of instructions are given, and he has to maintain the focus in front. All these goes for a toss when he becomes an expert. He does not care about any of these things. Whichever way, he now knows how to balance. So similarly, this ignorant, he has to follow so many things, and even with that, he does not even know that he has fallen. He is still like that on the ground actually. But for the jnani, it is different. He is not, though it may seem that he is riding a cycle, he is just sitting there, that's all. There is no activity whatsoever. To explain it in simple terms, because we have to explain all these, because we have been seeing it through the Ekajivavada, and it seems that there is a change here in the explanation. Therefore, we have to understand this. Simply put, this cup is made of clay, right? So if I remove the clay from the cup, can the cup exist? I just remove the clay from the cup, that's all, nothing else. You can have the form, name, etc. Can it be possible? Is it possible really? Similar is the case. The ignorance, the cause for all this is negated. Once the ignorance, the cause for all the creation is negated, there cannot be the effect of ignorance. When there is no cause, how can the effect sustain? How can the effect exist? So the whole idea of seeing the creation as the ignorant sees is not possible. A dog can vomit its own food and eat it also, but jnani cannot do it. He does not see the world in the same way as the person sees. Oh, then that is like in the Durudrishya Vikasi, we saw things like there is a general knowledge, there is a specific knowledge, there is a general knowledge of this, and there is a specific knowledge of pot. This is pot. In that, this idam, that part is a general knowledge, and pot is specific knowledge. So, can that be so? The idea is there can be no two specific knowledge at any point of time, or two general knowledge at any point of time for anyone. So that is also impossible. We cannot accept two special knowledges in the case of this is also special knowledge and pot is also special knowledge. It cannot happen. So what he sees is like, let us say, if he sees, what is that which he sees? See, during the Kumbh Mela is meeting of sadhus. It's a congregation. It's the biggest event in India. Every 4 years it comes to different places. Okay, they meet in different places. Sadhus come, so the disciples come, and there is a bathing in the river. It's a huge event, Kumbh Mela. Now, In one of the Kumbh Melas in Prayagraj, earlier it was called as Allahabad, now it is Prayagraj. Now in that Prayagraj, it's in the whole area is in between the Ganga and Yamuna river, that open area. On the sands, they have the tents and all that and arrangements for people to stay. And because it is in between the Ganga and Yamuna, it will be so cold in the night because the sand and all that, and terrible winter cold during January already. And the sand, it's even more cold. Okay. So during this period, what people do is they burn things. In North India, it's a common thing. They burn wood and they stay there for heat. Something went wrong, or some cooking place got disturbed or something, tents started burning. There was a huge fire accident. From where we don't know. And during this fire accident, there were boxes, iron boxes, which were kept in the corner. Now, after they settled everything, they dosed all the fire. They found these boxes and they invited the bank fellows because the boxes contained money. The money for distributing to sadhus. They were all fortunately new notes. So there were boxes and boxes and boxes of money. They opened it up and they carefully picked each bundle and took the numbers and registered it. Why they carefully took it out? Because now it is a burnt note. It is an image of note. It is not a note. Now you just flip it. It is ash. Can you do any transaction with that ash money? If a house burns, you will see all the curtains hanging. It's all in negative. That's the thing. But once you touch the curtain, it will fall down into ash. Or a rope which is burnt. Can you use that rope to tie anything? There is a rope. Yes. Do you see rope? Yes, I see rope. But that rope cannot be used for anything. It cannot bind anything. That is the kind of situation, the difference between the vision of a ignorant and the realist. We have to understand this. Otherwise, there is a big issue. Okay. Now, he says, Hey Shishya, dear disciple, listen to this. Shrunu savadhanamana. Carefully, listen carefully. Yaduktam atmaswarupa vaimukhyam eva vishichhadi karanamiti tadna kevalam ajnasya. You said turning away from the self is the cause for being attracted to the objects. That is not the case only for the ignorant. Kintu jnaninopi tulyameva. He says it is also for the knowledgeable one. The knowledgeable one also sees, he turns away from the self and he sees the object. Okay. So jnani chattad yada vyavahare pravartate tada saha tattva vismarana purvakam eva pravartate. When the jnani sees the objects, he will forget his self. That is what is said here. But we have to remember the first answer. What did he say to the disciple when the disciple came crying? The disciples came crying, all the three fellows. What did he say? He said, I am in sorrow, deep sorrow, and I want to gain realization, the absolute happiness. Please help me. And Guru said, this is erroneous. This whole idea which you have is erroneous because there is neither a bondage nor a liberation. That is what he said. Now he says, when the jnani sees the world, he will turn away from. Where is that away from? Where is that away even possible when there is no creation? So we have to understand this from what he said and what he is going to say later. So if you take it verbatim that he is going to see the, why I'm spending a lot of time, because it's a confusion here. We'll get into a big confusion if you start accepting this as it is. Okay, if this jnani is going to see the world as it is and okay, go back to his samadhi, or when he sees himself, he is he's happy, or when he experiences the the happiness through the object, he understands this is the happiness of the self. This doesn't help actually, because any which way he is into the world, he is stuck in the world. And when we understand, we say, oh, when the cause is removed, everything is removed. That all the idea goes through the window. And that will actually imply that the jnani, if at all he has realized, a realized fellow will only gain the liberation, complete, total liberation from all these when he dies. So that is another torment. If let us suppose a person meditates and realizes. Let us suppose that is what we mean here. He realizes, he now knows he is realized. Now he sees the duality and he is realized. Sees the duality, he is realized. We were already tormented by this world of duality. Now this fellow is like that cat which knows the taste of the milk, but it cannot go close to the milk because people are beating it. That is the difficult situation of this cat with a cat for milk, or the tiger which has tasted the blood. That is even worse actually. Now this fellow, what will, okay, let us suppose we all realized now. We are all that realized person who is experiencing the bliss but is tormented by the world. What will we do? And I will say, each of these jnani will commit suicide. There is no other option for them other than to commit suicide, because they come out of the samadhi, they are going to experience this torture. Previously, they didn't even know that there was another state where they can experience bliss. Now they know there is another state which they can experience bliss, and now they have to come into this torture. Previously, we didn't know this much torture. Now they know that it is this much torture because they are pulled away from the self. Since we don't know, we are pulled away from the self, the experience of the self. We are complacent, we are happy in quotes with the world as it is. But for that person, it will be a great torture, believe me. And there is no other escape for him other than committing suicide. That is not what we see. That is not how it is. Oh, his prarabdha will. Oh, his prarabdha will, but still, he has his purushartha, powerful purushartha. Jnani, we saw him as a person who is who satya kama satya sankalpa. That is what we said. Satya kama satya sankalpa. He has his will, whatever he desires, it comes into existence. It becomes true. And these disciples, when they went to the Guru, what did they say? You are like the Kalpataru tree, the wish-fulfilling tree. You are like a Chintamani, the wish-fulfilling precious stone. You are like that wish-fulfilling cow, Kamadhenu. Now, if it is so, if he can get the others' wish fulfilled, now what about his own? There's a big problem now. So, that is not how it should be understood. That is why I'm repeating again. He will not see the world as the ignorant sees the world. We have to understand. Jnani cha vyavahare vartate tada. Vishaya pravritti kale ajnavad aste jnani api. That is the statement where we left. During the time of transaction, the jnani also will be like an ignorant. That is the idea, he says. ज्ञानिनो हि चित्तं सदैव आत्माकारमेव यदि स्यात् तदा तस्य जीवनादि निमित्त भोजनादि व्यवहारोपि न सिद्ध्येत. And to establish his logic, he is going on to the next stage. He says, okay, if the jnani is established in the self always, if his mind is established in that a non-dual state, then even the worldly transaction like food etc will not take place. Eating etc will not take place. That we have already said. If that has to take place, that will be taken place by the prarabdha. That will be taken care of by prarabdha. Prarabdha will beat us and feed us if it needs to. We have seen a story with regards to this. This fellow, this disciple who didn't believe in Prarabdha, after listening to the story of Prarabdha, packed his food and went into forest and said, I am not going to eat food. Let us see Prarabdha, how the Prarabdha feeds me. 3 thieves come there and say, okay, what do you have? Give it all. Give it all. And they say, they see he has food also. Oh, let us eat. He gave all the money, he gave all his whatever he had. And when they took his food, normally what you will do? Oh, give me some food at least. I am hungry. He says, oh, please take it, take it. He was happy to share the food. The thieves were like, why is he so happy? Because they are wanted. They are all wanted by police. So there is some problem here. This is no problem. You take the food. No issue. There is some poison. We can understand. We are not that idiots. He has mixed some poison or some sedative. He wants us to eat. They beat him and feed him. So that is how the Prarabdha will take care. Even if it doesn't beat, it will make him eat. So these kind of things, Jivanadi Vyavahara, for the sake of the worldly transaction, like simply eating and all that, Jnani need not come out of the Samadhi. That is impossible. That is a stupidity. Okay. Tasmad Atma Vimukhaha Buddhi Ubhayoho Samaha. So coming out of the self for both of them is same. This is an idea which he sells that is not acceptable, because the jnani's mind gets dissolved in the self. Where is the self which can come? As I explained, the self is like a tool for him. If he needs it, if the prarabdha demands it, he will pick up and use it, and he will discard it after it is used. He is not going to be a slave of the mind no more. So he says, Jnaninastu buddhi yada atmano vimukha bhavati tada vishayachha tat samparkad atmaswarupa ananda abhivyakti cha ajnasya iva tasyapi jayate. So if the buddhi becomes the mind of the jnani becomes turned away from the self, then like the during this desire of for objects, etc., then like the ignorant, he will also experience the happiness in association with the objects. When he gains the object, the ignorant experience the happiness through the object. The jnani also will experience the happiness through the object. Same. But still there is a difference. Tatsapi atra visheshaha. There is a difference between the experience of jnani and the ignorant. What is the difference? He says, Vishaya samparkat bhasamanopi anandah. So swarupanandat natirichyate kintu tadabhasa evaiti vijanati brahmavit. The knower of the self understands, though he experiences the bliss through the object, as though he understands this bliss, this happiness which I'm experiencing now after experiencing the object, after enjoying the object, that is not different from my absolute bliss. That is the absolute bliss which I'm experiencing through this. He does not differentiate the happiness of object and the happiness of absolute bliss. And he sees it is just a reflection of that happiness of absolute bliss. Tatha cha vishaya bhoge api jnaninah samadhireva siddhyati. Therefore, during the experience of objects too, he is established in the samadhi. You understand now? He is experiencing the object. That experience of happiness in through the object, he understands it not to be different from his own experience, his own self, the absolute bliss. So therefore, he's experiencing the absolute bliss even during the experience of objects. Even during the experience of the objects. He knows, oh, this is not bliss, this is the bliss. Okay, now, so he is in samadhi alone. Agyastu. But for the ignorant, there is a difference. How is the difference? What is the difference? He says, Ayam Anandaha, Swarupananda Eviti Naiva Veda. He does not understand that this bliss he experiences through the object is of his inherent nature. The bliss of the inherent nature. He does not understand, the ignorant. But Jnani understands it to be not different from his self. Therefore, he, while experiencing the happiness through the object, as though he understands it to be happiness of the self, therefore, that also is a samadhi state for Jnani. Paramarthatastu Jnani Ajnani cha ubhayoho api Swarupananda eva ajnasya vishaye ananda pratiti bhrantireva. In reality, both ignorant and you'll understand this. In reality, both ignorant and the realized experience the bliss of the self alone. But the realized understands it to be experience of the self. The ignorant does not see that. He has an erroneous knowledge that the happiness is because of the object. That is the difference. That is the difference. Now, 133 through 168. Dukkha Vishayaka Prashna Pratyuktayah. From here, we are going to enter, not just here, the next topic. We are going to enter into a very beautiful discussion. Okay, for the next 2 days, we are going to see a very beautiful discussion which we would have not even dreamt of. It is impossible to even dream of this kind of possibilities. We'll see this. 133. The topic is Dukkha Vishayaka Prashna Pratyuktayah. The question regarding the experience of sorrow and its answers. Samsarika Dukkhasya Ashraya Prashnaha. The disciple is asking the question first. What is the question? Samsarika Dukkhasya Ashraya Prashnaha. The substratum for the experience of sorrow in the samsara, in the world. The experience of sorrow which we have in the world, what is the substratum for that? Where does it reside? So, hey Sadguru, Swamin, O Guru, O Swami, please. Tvam Paramananda Swarupa Asiti Bhavata Uktam Prak. You said earlier, you are that absolute bliss. Okay. Yaduktam Prak, whatever you said that, Tad Aham Samyag Janami. He says, I understand that clearly. You are absolute bliss, what you said, I understand this clearly. What is your problem then? Yes. Janana Maranadi Samsara Rupa Mahadukham Kalatriyepi Twai Nastieva Ataha Tan Nivruttaye Tava Icha Atyanta Asangata iti Bhavat Ukta Vishayetu Kaschana Samshayo Bhavati. But I have doubt. You said you don't have doubt, I understand. But what is your doubt now? No. Regarding the bliss, I don't have the doubt. Regarding the other portion, what is the other portion? I'll explain. Janana Maranadi Samsara Maha Dukkham, the great sorrow of the birth and death in the samsara, or the great sorrow of samsara, which is the cycle of birth and death. Okay. What is the doubt there? Wait. Kalatrepi Twai Nastieva. It doesn't exist in all 3 periods of time in you. There is no kind of association for you in all the 3 periods of time with the sorrow of samsara. Ataha tan nivurte tavichha atyanta sangata. Therefore, to get rid of this, the desire of yours to get rid of this samsara is highly impossible. It is illogical. It doesn't exist. How can you negate something which does not exist? This what you said, Bhavadukta Vishaya. This what you said, sir. Kaschana samshayo bhavati. I have some doubts. Okay. Yadi anubhuyamanamidam janana maranadi dukkham mayi nasti tarhi madanyam kam ashrutya tavadavatishthate iti tayaya me vada prabho. Oh, please, sir. Please explain this. Yadi anubhuyamanamidam janana maranadi dukkham mayi nasti. If the sorrow of samsara, of birth and death, does not exist in me, Clear. If the sorrow of samsara, which I am experiencing, does not exist in me, okay, mayi nasti chet. If it does not, edi mayi nasti. If it does not exist in me, tarhi madanyam kama ashritya tavashthe. Then you please tell me, where does it exist? What is the substratum for that sorrow? I'm experiencing it. That should have to have a substratum. Somewhere it should have to have association. Where is it associated? Where does it exist? Iti daya, with compassion, please tell me. If it does not exist in me, it should have to have some existence somewhere else. Please tell me that. If something does not exist in me, that which I am experiencing, it has to have existence somewhere else. That is the idea. Remember this. If it does not exist in me, it should have to exist somewhere else. If it does not exist in me, it should have to exist in somewhere else. Where does it exist? This is a very beautiful question. We'll understand this. Okay. Samsara dukkhasya ashriyantra avagame hi mai tan nasti iti mama dridha pratiti syaditi shishya prachasi. So why is he asking about that? If the sorrow of samsara is understood, the substratum for the sorrow of samsara is understood, then he can be sure, oh, it does not exist me. If it is existing somewhere, I am not bothered about it. Why should we bother about its existence somewhere else? We don't care. So he can relax. That is the reason he's asking this question. Okay, the gist of the question is, if it does not exist in me, where does it exist? Remember this question. If it does not exist in me, where does it exist? That is the question. Okay, now 134. Na kasyapi samsara asti iti guru utram. The guru answers him again. There is no samsara for anyone anywhere. There is no samsara for anyone anywhere. If it does not exist in me, you want to say, oh, my samsara is transferred to him, transferred to her. No. The samsara is not transferred to anyone anywhere. It does not exist for anyone anywhere. That is my answer. That was the answer. You mistook it. You thought I am saying that the samsara does not exist in you. I am not saying the samsara does not just exist in you. It does not exist anywhere. That is what my answer is. Okay. Now he says, hey Shishya, O disciple, Shruname Vachanam, listen to my answer. Tena cha te sarva samshaya nivrittisya. Listen to what I have to say, because of which all your doubts will be removed. All your doubts will be removed. Okay. Janana maranadi samsara dukkham na kutrachit api asti. The sorrow of samsara, of birth and death, does not exist anywhere. Kutrachit. Kutrachit means anywhere. Kutra. Tra is a saptamyastral. Seventh case, the tra is used. Seventh case is to denote the place, on, in, etc. Right? So he says, never, where, nowhere it exists. This samsara, sorrow of samsara you ask for, doesn't exist anywhere. Where can I show you the substratum for that if it does not exist? So, anubhuyamanamapi idam drishyam jagat kalatrayapi tvai mai anyatra va kutrachitapi anumatramapi nastyeva. So he is explaining it again. He is reiterating it again. He says, this whatever you see, anubhuyamanamapi idam drishyam jagat, this world which you see, which you experience, even though it is experienced, this seen world, this perceived world, does not exist in all the three periods of time, in me, in you, or anywhere else. Even for an atom sized, even an atom sized, even a kind of association through an atom, through something. It does not exist in me. It exists somewhere, some association. No association is possible. They does not exist. That's all. Full stop. It does not exist. The world which you are perceiving, which you are experiencing, does not exist in reality in any place at all the three periods of time. at any place at all the 3 periods of time. Okay, now अत एव अस्य जगतो अत्यंत नाश न कुत्रचिदपि संभवति. That is the reason we cannot have complete destruction of this world. Complete destruction of this world means, are you going to bomb it and destroy it? It is impossible. This may not exist. There is another solar system, another lunar system, another lunar system, whatever system. There are so many systems. It's possible. This does not exist means something will exist somewhere. We are finding new universe being born, etc. We can't even fathom that, understand that. So he says, it is impossible. It does not have any existence. What? You say, the same breath you say there is some universe being born, and at the same breath you say there is no creation at all 3 periods of time. Understand this. 136. This is why I said the question is very important. I experience the world, the experience of whatever objects. What is the substratum for that? Where does it exist? A beautiful question. Okay. Asatah, next 135. Asatah samsarasya katham pratitiriti prashna. Okay. You said the world does not exist, and you also said there is a new universe springing up from somewhere. Now, please tell me, if the world, if the creation does not exist, if it is non-existent, how can I experience it? How do I perceive it? How do I experience it? How do I see it? Hey Kripalo, that is the question, the gist of the question topic. Hey Kripalo Sadguru, oh compassionate Guru, जनन मरणादि संसार दुःखं मयि अन्यत्र वा कुत्रचिदपि न स्यात् चेत् कथं तर्हि तत् प्रत्यक्षी भवति? See, if the sorrow of samsara, of cycle of birth and death, the samsara, which is of the nature of sorrow, samsara, which is the nature of cycle of birth and death, does not exist in me, you, or anywhere, as you say, then how do we perceive it? How do I see it? Through direct perception. How does everyone experience this world? Through their direct perception. Nahi atyanta asad vastu kadachidapi upalabhyate. It is very clear. I cannot say something which does not exist in all 3 periods of time is experienced. Nowhere, no one has experienced something which does not exist in all 3 periods of time. No one, nowhere. And I am experiencing this. And you say it doesn't exist anywhere, anytime. Nowhere, no time. One cannot experience. But nowhere, no time, I am experiencing. Understand? Atyanta abhava, something which does not exist in all 3 periods of time, that cannot be experienced by anyone. And you say the samsara is of the nature of atyanta abhava, eternal absence. And we also experience it. How it is possible? Eternal absence cannot be experienced. Something which does not exist in all 3 periods of time cannot be experienced by anyone. But I am seeing it. How is it possible? Bandhya putra. What is that which does not exist in all 3 periods of time? So let me give you an example. He says, Bandhya putra gagana aravindadi asadvastuvat samsaropi atyanta asachet na kadachitapi upalabhyate tu. Like a barren woman's son, a mare's horn, the castle in the sky. None of these are experienced by anyone, no matter who, how. They cannot be experienced because they don't have any existence. If this is the case for all these things, then how will I experience the samsara? If the samsara is completely non-existent, then how will I experience? How am I experiencing? You cannot say it does not come for any kind of experience. But I do experience. That is the problem. Therefore, tasmat janma maranadi dukkha rupaha samsara nasti iti uktirna yujyate. Therefore, it is not logical to say, it is not proper to say that the samsara, the sorrow of samsara, the samsara which is of the nature of a cycle of birth and death does not exist. That is not right. You cannot say that. That's not logical. That's not proper. Iti shishya prachati. This is the question of the disciple. That which does not exist in all three periods of time cannot be experienced, like a barren woman's son, like a mirage water, like a mare's horn, like a castle in the sky. All these cannot be experienced, whomsoever it may be. Does not really matter. Like earlier they used to write to whomsoever it may concern. Now they say who it may concern. Whatever you say, the point is it cannot be experienced by anyone. These things, whether he is a king, emperor, or a beggar, does not really matter. They cannot experience a barren woman's son. Whether he is a highly accomplished soul or a ignorant, illiterate, he cannot experience. But we are experiencing this world. How is it possible? Please explain this, sir. So you cannot say that which does not exist in all the three periods of time can be experienced. That is impossible. It is illogical also. 136. Samsara pratitihi mithya iti guroruttaram. Guru is answering him. The experience which you have of samsara is illusory. Mithya. Falsehood. I don't use false because it connotes different meanings. So we'll say it is a illusory. Okay. Janana maranadi pravah rupam jagat paramartha kalatrayepi asat api pratyagatma eva brahma iti ajanatam kevalam mityabhutam avabhasate. Janana maranadi pravaha rupam jagat. This jagat which is of the nature of flow of cycle of birth and death. This creation jagat samsara which is of the nature of a cycle of birth and death. Paramartha kalatrayepi asat api. Though it reality, it does not have any existence in all the three periods of time. The samsara, though in reality does not exist in all the three periods of time, pratyagatma eva brahma iti ajanatam. For people who don't understand that the immediate self is nothing but the absolute self. The immediate self is verily the absolute self. There is no immediate, there is no individual self on the absolute self. Individual self is absolute self. The person who does not understand that individual self is the absolute self, for him, kevalam mithyabhutam avbhasate. It is a illusorily perceived by him. Just illusory for him. For the person, though there is no existence of samsara in all three periods of time, for the person who does not understand that the immediate self and absolute self are one and the same, for him it is as though perceived through illusion. It is perceived because of illusion, erroneous knowledge. Yatha swapne anubhuyamana padarthaha. How can I see something which does not exist? Oh, you do experience objects in the dream which does not exist. I have an example for you. The objects in dream are so real. They are so real. I am hungry. The food in the dream provides me with relief. I am being chastened by a dog. I am bitten by a snake. And I see beautiful people there. Everything is happening. Both bad experiences and good experiences. The good experiences, fortunately or unfortunately, we forget. Only the bad dreams we remember. So he says, Yatha swapne anubhuyamana padarthaha ne keva. So, like he is giving example. The example is the experience. First example, the experience of That which does not exist, but I am experiencing it. Where? The dream. That is first experience. Okay. Second, see, one, if I say one experience which does not exist and you you experience it. If I'm going to give you one experience, example, then you say, oh, that is an exception. Always. One example can be exception. Two example will become a norm. So he says, Akashe Nailyam. The second example is the blueness of the sky. The blueness or the ceiling, the surface which you see in the sky. It seems to be real. But there is no blueness. But we do refer to it as a blue sky, etc. Second example. Third example, the two examples. Rajjo Sarpadesha. Third example, like the rope snake. Like the rope snake. So he is not stopping with second example. I'm giving you three examples. Take it. So therefore, Paramartha Kalatrepi Asantopi, these things, the mirage water, all these things, though they don't exist in reality in all the three periods of time, still Mithya eva bhasante, they are experienced. That's an illusory experience. That's real, not real. Unreal experience takes place. We have all experienced rope snake. We have all experienced the blueness of sky. We have all experienced the dream. So I am not giving you. It is experienced by all of us. Similarly, you are experiencing the world. What is the problem? What is the difference between that and this? If you can understand that to be erroneous, this should definitely be erroneous. If you want one more example, I can give you one more example. The double moon. Because of the cataract, you see things not real. You see double moons. Or if you have watched the moon through the old lenses, the old camera lens, you will understand. You will see two moons. I was surprised once. So two moon. Where is the other moon? So all these things, everything which you see is in reality not real. I was giving a lecture somewhere. I said, okay, we can explain everything here through different aspects of science. I said, in the physics, they say every atom has electron, proton, neutron. Something exists in the center and something revolves around it. Okay, fine. Where is the movement here? That is not a proper way of seeing. I said, okay, let us forget about that. Relatively everything is moving, so we don't see the movement. Okay, let there should be a change. Suddenly this table should probably go into become a monster. I don't really know what it will become to, because it's all cells. They are doing something and something should happen. Okay, forget about this. You are seeing a star. That star which you see, wherever you see, actually does not exist in that very place. It is because of refraction. It is here and you see it here. That is one big error. And seeing the star itself is an error actually. We don't even have to say seeing the star instead of there, here is an error. That is not the question. I'm saying seeing the star itself is an error. How? Due to supernova, the star got destroyed long ago, thousands of years ago, but still the light is traveling. Can you even fathom that? Can you even understand that? Light is traveling. The star does not exist. The light is traveling. I'm seeing the light of the star, which does not exist actually. So these kind of things are here we experience. The magicians, they do some magic, though there is a logic behind all the magic, but still they do the magic and you see, where did it come from? We are still surprised. So he says, Tadvad Jagat Paramartho Asadapi, though similarly, though the Jagat does not have any real existence, Mithya Rupayana Avabhasate. Through illusoriness, it is still perceived. Okay. 137. Rajjau Sarpa Pratitihi Katham iti Prashnaha. Now the question. Now the important question. I am seeing the snake on the rope. I am seeing the snake on the rope. This is the question I reiterated twice, thrice earlier. I am seeing something which does not exist. Rope, in that instead of seeing it as rope, I am seeing a snake there. How is it possible? How am I seeing the snake in the rope? This is a simple, silly inquiry which we have not even dreamt about. Just see the kind of thought process which has gone into this by different schools. He's not just going to bring in the Vedanta. All the different schools, whatever they think, how do I see? We are not even going to establish immediately that like that this. No, you have a problem. You see the world which does not exist. The example you gave is rope snake. So now the rope snake is the example we have to establish. If we are able to establish this is how the rope snake is perceived, then I can say this is how the world is perceived. Simple. I don't have to go through any complicated logic. I have to explain this, whichever I'm seeing in front of me, this rope snake. If I'm able to establish this rope snake, I will be able to immediately establish through the same logic the creation, the world, which I'm perceiving. We have seen rope snake and we have run away from it, or we just use a torchlight and okay, throw it away, or things like that. But we didn't even think to sit and inquire why this rope snake why did it come into existence. So he says, Rajjau pratiyamana sarpadayah yatha mithya tathaiva pratyagatmani pratiyamana samsara dukkhamapi mithya iti yeduktam. A question, this is the question. Like the rope snake, the snake which is seen on the rope is an illusory thing. Similar is the case for the world which is perceived in the self. Tathapi tatha eva pratyagatmani pratiyamana samsara dukkhamapi. Similarly, the samsara, the sorrow of samsara which is perceived in the self, myself, is also mithya. Like the snake perceived in the rope is mithya. Similarly, the world perceived in me is mithya. In self is mithya. This is what the Guru said. Iti uktam. Yaduktam. This is what you said. This what you said is tatra. There, with respect to that. Drishtanta jnana mantra darshtantika jnana asambhavat. Without an example, without the clarity of an example, without the knowledge of the example, the exemplified cannot be established, cannot be understood. So I have to understand clearly the example. The example is a rope snake. Without understanding the rope snake, which you gave as an example, I cannot understand the self world. Rope, snake, self, world. Rope exists, snake does not. Snake is perceived. World, self exists, world does not. World is perceived. So the situation is same. But explain me the example. Let me understand the example. Then I will understand the exemplified automatically. Like this example, exemplified over. Simple. So he says, iti rajjau sarpaha katham avabhasate iti pratamataha tavat mam bodhayantu bhavanta iti. Therefore, please, sir, first you explain me how do I perceive this snake in the rope. Please, sir, explain to me first how do I see, how do I perceive the snake in the rope. Katham avabhasatah. Rajjau sarpaha katham avabhasatah. In the rope, how does the snake shine? How is it seen? How is it perceived? Iti sishyah drishtanta vishaye pruchate. This is what is the question of the disciple with reference to the example given. He is not asking about the dream. He is not asking about the mirage water. He is not asking about the mare's horn. He is not asking about the baron's woman. But he is asking about this experience of us, which seems very real in the world, which is rope snake. I don't see a barren woman. No, that is not an experience for anyone. Good. I don't see the though I do see mirage water. It can be equated with the rope snake. So he is asking a very important question. How do I see rope snake? Beautiful question. Now, how do we see rope snake? 138 to 143. Shishya swaprashnasya ashayam varnayati. Now, Shishya, the disciple, is explaining his idea regarding pertaining to the question. What does he want? What does he want to know? What is the idea behind the question? He is explaining that. 138. Topic is Khyati Chatushtayam. 138. The topic is Khyati Chatushtayam. Chatushtayam 4. Chatushtayam 4. Khyati. Khyati means Kya Prakathane root word. Khyati means that which is a knowledge, that which is explained. I'm saying something that is Khyati. I'm able to put it through words. I'm able to explain it through words. That is Khyati. I'm able to experience something. That is Khyati. Khyati means knowledge, experience. Okay. So there are 4 ways. He's explaining the 4 types of Khyati. 4 types of Khyati. 4 types of Khyati means 4 types of knowledge. 4 types of knowledge means 4 different schools of thought explain about the same rope snake. They say this is how the snake is seen on the rope. 4 different schools. We don't belong to any of these schools, but the Shishya, the disciple, is a learned person. So he is asking which is similar to what you are saying. What is the Khyati? Rajju Sarpa Shukti Rajatadi Brahma Vishaye Matat Chatushtayam Shruyate. With reference to the rope snake, with reference to the mother of pearl silver, with reference to the mirage water, etc., there are 4 schools of thought which we hear, which we understand. There are 4 schools of thought which we hear, which we understand. This is the idea of the disciple. He does not understand. There's a 5th possibility also. So he knows the 4 possibilities. Now he is explaining these 4 possibilities. What are the 4 possibilities? Tatra Shunyavadi Asatkhyati Maha. The Shunyavadi, the voidist, the Buddhist who accept everything is a void. There is nothing. Voidism they call it. There is nothing. Internally, externally, their brain does not also have anything. They'll accept that also because it's void. So he says that Shunyavadi, that Buddhist, he says Asat Khyati, Asat Khyati, Asat non-existence, Khyati knowledge. That which you talk about, the rope or snake, they are both non-existent. Okay. Now, this is just a translation of the word. I am not explaining the word. Asatkyati is the next topic. 139 is Asatkyati and 140 is Atmakhyati. Each one of them is going to be explained. I'm just translating the word, mere translation, not explanation. Okay. Asat means non-existence. Khyati means knowledge, knowledge of non-existent. Okay. That is what the Shunyavadi, the voidist Buddhist people, the Buddhist who accept everything to be void, they say. Next is Kshanika Vijnanavadi Atmakhyati Machaste. The Buddhist again, People talk, people say that they are Buddhist. They don't even understand. They follow Buddhism. They are learning Buddhism. They are practicing Buddhism, etc. But they don't even understand there are so many complexities in the Buddhism. I'm not even saying this. This is not even to condemn Buddhism. I'm even saying there are so many other Buddhism. There are so many schools of Buddhism. These people don't even realize that. They think just sitting under, just chanting the Om Mani Padmane Hum, Om Mani Padmane Hum is Buddhism. No, that is not Buddhism. That is an idea. That is a mythia of Buddhism. Example. That is just an illusion of Buddhism. There is no Buddhism there. You are chanting something instead of something. Okay. Then I'll introduce you to Pepsism. Pepsism is Om Pepsi Cola Yahum. We can introduce so many schools because there is no philosophy behind it. If there is no philosophy behind it, it can be anything. You can chant anything. So this is just an illusion of Buddhism, not Buddhism. The second school of Buddhism is Kshanikavadi. Kshanikavadi, Vijnanavadi. He is also referred to as Vijnanavadi. First is voidism. Second is knowledgeism. What does that mean? Knowledgeism, what is that? He says everything is momentous. Everything is momentous. The intellect, which is momentous, which stays for a second, which stays for a moment. The intellect, that which stays for a moment, projects whatever you see. Projects whatever you see. Let me explain the four school of Buddhism. Now, next is not Buddhism, it's logician school. Let me explain the four schools of Buddhism in a simple term. Simple term. There are four schools. Four schools means binary. In binary, there are possibility of 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 and 1, 1. Four possibilities. Okay. 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1 and 1, 1. These are the only four possibilities in binary. Okay. Now remember this. 0, 0 is a voidism. Means internally everything is void, externally everything is void. Void is a first. Kshanikavadi says no, internally 1, outside 0. Internally there is a thought, vijnana, for a moment. Though it is for a moment, there is vijnana, but that is real. Externally what you see is not real. That is the Vijnanavadi. Then the third one will come and say, Vaibhashika. He say, no. Internally there is nothing. Externally there is everything. The second one said 1, 0. The third one says 0, 1. Internally there is void, there is nothing. Externally the world exists. Then the fourth one, Sautrantika, the people who base their teaching on the sutra. Vaibhashika is the people who base their teaching on the country of the sutras. Now, Sautrantika is people who base their teaching on the sutras. The Diamond Sutra, this Lotus Sutra, all these sutras. They say 1, 1. Internally also there is existence. Outside also there is existence. So this is your Buddhism. 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, over. This is a simple way of understanding. I was trying to understand this four schools of Buddhism and it's just so complicated. I said, why do you complicate such a simple thing? Just put a table. Even old people, I went some place to teach old people, and when I spoke, I put this picture in of 0, 1 and 1, 0 to them. They said, is this all Buddhism is? I said, this is all Buddhism is. Oh, we tried to remember it so many ways. This is so simple. 0, 1, 0, 0, 1011 over Buddhism. If you know binary, Buddhism is done. Now, the first fellow said 0, 0. The second fellow said 1, 0. Okay, we are not going to the 1, 0, 1 and 1, 1. That is not our discussion here. So the first fellow said 0, 0. It is void inside, it's void outside. The second fellow, which is Atma Khyati, said Atma, I exist. Outside world does not exist. First fellow says Asat Khyati. Asat means non-existence, complete non-existence. Asat, non-existence. Okay. Second fellow says Atma Khyati. Atma, I exist. The world does not exist. Okay. This is the understanding. Now, Nayayikaha, Vaisheshikascha, Anyatha Khyatim Atishtante. The logicians, there are two schools of logicians, Indian logicians, there are two schools. One is Vaisheshika, the other is Nayayika. They both are logicians. They both are logicians. They accept different categories and different logic. That's all. But they are both basically both logicians. Now, what do they say? They say Anyatha Khyati. Other knowledge. Anyatha means other. Khyati means knowledge. Other knowledge. First is Asat Khyati. Asat Khyati means absence knowledge, eternal absence knowledge. Second is Atma Khyati. Atma Khyati means self knowledge. This knowledge of self is projected outside. Okay. Third one is Anyatha Khyati. The knowledge of other is projected somewhere. The knowledge of other is seen somewhere. Anyatha Khyati. Okay. Other knowledge. The fourth one is Sankhyaha Prabhakarascha. Akhyatim Vadanti. The Sankhyans, the school of Sankhya, and Prabhakara, the school of Purvamamsa, they accept Akhyati. Khyati, knowledge, Akhyati, absence of knowledge. We'll understand this. First, we'll understand Asat Khyati. It's a very interesting dialogue. We'll have to understand each one of them. So we will be left with no excuse to understand the illusoriness of world. No excuse. You want to understand the example? Let me explain the example properly. Now understand. What is Asat Khyati? What do I see in the world? When I see the world, I don't see anything that is existent because nothing exists. Everything is void. That void is what is experienced. That is what the Buddhists say. So his explanation. Tatra Asatkhyatim Angikuruvatam Shunyavadinam Evam Ashayah. The voidist, the Buddhist who accept voidism, he says this. What does he say? Rajjau Tavat Sarpaha Atyantam Asan. The snake which you perceive on the rope is completely absent. It has no existence. It's completely non-existent. The snake which you perceive on the rope is completely, entirely non-existent. Okay? Tathaiva anyatrapi. Similarly is the case in other places also. In other places also means Valmikado api, in the ant hill where the snake resides. Even there also the snake does not exist. He is talking about the real snake which hides itself in the ant hill, etc. Or in Tirthamalai, it hides itself in the pipe, etc. Nowhere there is snake. Sarpo atyantam asan eva. The snake which you say is absolutely non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. There is no choice here. Absolutely. It does not have any existence, any kind of existence. Whether you say the snake or you say the rope snake, does not really matter. Whether you talk about a rope snake or you talk about the snake, we don't care. It does not exist. Over. Full stop. एवं अत्यंत असतः सर्पस्य प्रतीतिः रज्जो भवति. This kind of absolute non-existent snake is what is seen in the rope. इमामेव असत्ख्याति माहु शून्यवाद. This is what is called as a asatkyati by the voidist. अत्यंत असतः सर्पस्य ख्याति स्फुरणम अभिवदनम च असत्ख्याति. Meaning, what is asatkyati? The word is explained. Atyanta asatah sarpasya, the snake which is eternally absent. That snake which is eternally absent, it's khyati. Khyati means spuranam, experience, means abhivadanam, explaining. You are experiencing something and explaining something. That is what is khyati. From the root word kya prakatane, to explain nicely. If you want to explain, you have to know. So explanation presupposes knowledge. So khyati means knowledge, explanation. So the first school says the snake does not exist. Meaning, that is an example. Meaning, the world does not exist. The world you are talking about does not exist. Iti asatkyati. This is what is asatkyati. Now we have the other three. We'll see it tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.